The Sabotage Show is not intended for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Sabotage Show, and I'm your saboteur, the moderately annoyed Canadian here, and I have a very special guest. Would you say hello, that long-haired creepy guy?
Greetings and salutations! Or
Yay.
just hello as he prefers.
I'll even give you a round of applause for that one. But I did want to get some basic questions out of the way so we can get into the good stuff, as I was talking about earlier.
Right.
So let's just start off with what brought you to manic-expression.
Less, actually. I was on That Guy with the Glasses in the blog section. That was where I started out when I first started making reviews, on YouTube. And I got this... I had spoken with Les before. We had kind of become friends by that point. But he sent me this private message with a link down in it, and it was for manic-expression. And I went there, took a look around, and I was like... yeah, okay, this will be a place for me to post my reviews to. You know, I really didn't, I'm ashamed to admit it now, but I really didn't think much about it at that point. I just sort of thought, well, sure, why not? But as I stayed there, the longer I spent time on the site, the more it kind of grew on me. Mm-hmm. And little by little, I found myself really preferring to be there.
Yeah.
I got a lot more positive feedback. I got more, and the people were just more friendly, more welcoming. And after a certain point, I decided, yeah, you know what? I think I like it here.
Yeah, it's like the family you wish you had.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I found that way. It was the same for me, too, because I did start off on, I hadn't really posted anything on YouTube, but I was on another site with, I talked about this before with the podcast I was doing. And
right.
I was getting, views or whatever you want to call it, but there was no feedback. And then I found Decker Shadow on YouTube, and I saw your videos with him, collaboration videos, and then I joined manic-expression. That's kind of how I got started. So it's been like a family.
Aw, that's awesome. Yeah. Sorry, it's just I hear you talking about my crossovers with Decker, and that actually brought you to manic-expression instead of sending you running away.
Well, I'm still here for now anyway. So it was Les, actually. How did you guys end up meeting?
He commented on a couple of things that I had posted on back when I was on That Guy with the Glasses. Back then he was known as Positive Troll. And he was, I don't know, he was just this friendly guy. And I was, I admittedly, you see so many people who aren't friendly online. So when someone who is that nice, you kind of, my first reaction was, okay, is this guy serious or is he just dicking around on me?
Yeah.
But as I got to know him and as we talked more, I was like, okay, yeah, he's the real deal. I don't understand why, but he is. And, he just became someone awesome. He became a friend of mine. And when I had mentioned before, I had thought about doing my own reviews, and he was really encouraging. He was one of the people who was really, really, really supportive of me. And when I posted my first review, I thought, I sent him the link because I was like, he'll probably be the one of like 2 people who watch it if I'm lucky. So, but he was very positive about it. He was, he told me it was a solid first review, and he told me, you'll get better if you keep doing it. And I appreciated that.
Yeah, he's very easy to talk to, and he's very positive about everything. Even if it's constructive criticism, it's still, there's always something positive backing it. I found with Les. Now, your regular reviews aside, you have a lot of backlog videos on the site as well, dating back, to when you first joined, which is kind of what I wanted to talk about. You do talk about yourself a little bit and your family and some of the things you've done. Can you give us a little bit of a story on why you decided to let your personal life out so much onto the site?
I'm not entirely sure. Well, the first storyteller video started because there was a guy named Brizzy Comics. He's on YouTube, and we've talked before. He did a video where he told a story about one time when he was a young Catholic boy, and he described, there's like this ritual where you have to carry several things down the aisle, and it ended kind of badly for him, but in a very amusing way. Just one of those embarrassing things that happens to you publicly when you're a kid that you never forget about.
Yeah.
And I told him a story of my own about that became the Christmas cantata video, the very first storyteller.
Yeah.
And I had told him about it, and he encouraged me to make a video about it. So I did. And I actually did get a lot of responses from that, considering how tiny my fan base was. It was something that people seemed, to think was amusing. And so I did another one, and a woman that is a fan of mine, and I also know online, encouraged me. She knew I was bisexual, and she encouraged me to do a video about it because her son is also bi. Excuse me. And that became that. And just after a while, I just figured, I'll talk about myself. And until people are sick of hearing it, I'll just, be upfront about it. Because I wasn't ashamed of any of it.
No.
I was just, it was something I just don't, it was all things I don't talk about with people very often in real life. And seeing people respond to these things online was odd at first, but also kind of encouraging.
Yeah.
So I thought about it, and I was like, is there anything that I really feel I have to hide, or anything I really feel I have to be ashamed of? And when the list on those things came up so very short, I just sort of, why not?
Yeah, exactly. Because it's at a point where you're like, well, I'm beyond the halfway point. Might as well just keep going from here. I mean,
yeah.
And it seems like that.
Yeah, there were a lot of humiliating things that happened to me, in school when I was growing up. But I was just like, when I look back on it, so many other people have had those same things happen to them. So if they want to laugh at me because of it, whatever. It's not like I haven't had the freelance shame squad aiming for me ever since I was 5. So,
do you find though it's helped you in your personal life more, being more open about it?
A little bit. I think it has actually. I've become more at ease and relaxed about myself and about things and about my own past than I was before that point.
Yeah. It seems like that for me too. Even just doing this show, I found the first time I did it, it wasn't on manic-expression, but I was able to kind of vent a little bit, and I felt like maybe that's what I really needed to do, just kind of get some of that tension out. It felt really good, and then so my intentions for doing this show on Manic was to be like the original one I'd done, just vent and talk about what I don't like, and Facebook and fucking YouTube, and then I was doing this one day, and I was like, what? I don't feel like I'm in a negative mood. I really actually feel like I'm in a positive mood. I'd really like to talk about, what I'm enjoying about the site and the people on the site, and so for me, it's been very, in a way, it has actually changed a big part of my life. Yeah. But another one I wanted to ask you about was actually your involvement on the site too. You do a lot of the writing. From what I understand,
I do some of the writing. I don't claim to be the head writer or be the chief writer or in any capacity on Manic Expression, but I have written things before. I do the script for the Mason Dixon. Why is that such a mouthful for me? Mason Dixon series. I have done that. I am a writer professionally. I have several books out. Yeah. I have I've helped like with a couple of things. Decker and I, whenever we do a collaboration, I've helped. We've written scripts together for the reviews and so forth. So I'm a writer in a capacity on the site, but at the same time, there are lots of others. Yeah,
and I've seen your books on the site too. Yeah. So what do you like to write about?
I tend to drift more towards the sci-fi fantasy or urban fantasy genres. I have written stuff that doesn't fall under those. Not because, I'm actually working on a story that doesn't fit into either category right now. So I'm it's a working title for it right now is Son of a Preacher Man.
Okay, cool.
I shameless plug, by the way.
No, that's what we're here for.
But no, I've always been drawn to the fantastic, not necessarily far off places or future times or anything like that, but just the strange, the odd sort of thing.
Yeah,
that's really that describes me, because I have always felt like the oddball. I don't think I've ever been the normal kid my whole life.
Yeah,
I can remember being five or six, and someone telling me that talking to me, and hearing someone say that talking to me was like talking to a very, very small adult.
Yeah.
I was a very sharp, astute kid. It sounds like I'm ringing my own bell here, but I was always the kid who never really behaved like a real kid.
Yeah. Did you find yourself questioning everything you were told?
Constantly.
Yeah. I was actually kind of the same way too. I even as a kid, I always wondered why we were being told what we were being told, and if you would question it, they would always say the same thing. They would just kind of look at you.
This is just how things are. That's just
Yeah.
And in my case, it was because I'm in the South. In my case, that's just what the Bible says. And I would actually go looking for this later, and I didn't quite find what they were talking about there.
Does religion still play does religion still play a big role in your life?
It does to a degree, but not the one that I grew up with. I am, as you know, I'm bisexual. I am also a pagan. I don't subscribe to any specific chapter or denomination, for lack of a better way of putting it. I've had other pagans ask me, which branch am I with, and I say I'm not. I reply, I'm being serious when I say this, but at the same time I'm joking. I say I'm non-denominational, because I don't have a specific thing, so quotation marks, that I resonate with. So I keep it ambiguous. I find I prefer it that way, actually.
And the other pagans, what do they think of you being bisexual?
I've never really come across a pagan group that had a problem with it, or found it as an issue at all. I've just it's more like if it comes up at all, it's just like it's the reaction is actually quite surprising. It's the look is like, and so what, thank you for sharing, but not really a big deal.
It's just maybe more common now, or just people are finally starting to just relax about it, and the old ways.
Well, from what I've seen and from what I understand it, in the pagan community, many people who are gay or gays, lesbians, or bisexuals gravitated towards the pagan community because they found they were accepted there.
Well, it sounded,
there was never there. There's paganism, modern neo-pagan, what is considered neo-paganism today, overall has never, from what I've seen, has never had a problem with it. It's never been a question of right or wrong, or doing something because that's the right thing to do or that's the normal thing to do. It's just paganism embraced a lot of the people who were social outcasts, or who were considered oddballs, or who weren't, or deviants, as homosexuality and bisexuality has been branded for so long. So it's not. It's become this community of anti-socialists, so to speak. Not in the socialist sense, but just in the sense that these are all people who feel that they don't quite belong.
Yeah. And then they can just kind of feel like they're one, and they don't need to feel like they're being pressured and being pulled in one direction.
Overall, yes.
Yeah. You could always be a Mormon, I guess. That was a shot at Mormons, by the way.
I am polyamorous, so I do have that down.
I just don't want you coming to my door. That's all I ask.
I don't like coming to other. I don't like walking to up to my neighbor's doorsteps. Why would I walk that far to Canada?
Yeah, good call. Nobody wants to come here. Now I got to ask you, on the note of showing up at people's doors randomly, I want to hear a little bit more about what's going on with you and Decker.
Right now, Decker and I have something planned for October that we're hoping to do. October has become the month that I do something called Creepy Ween. It's nostalgia. It's the Nostalgia Critic has Nostalgia Ween. You know, it's become kind of a thing. If you were an internet reviewer, you were supposed to do holiday themed reviews when the time comes.
Yeah.
And I do love Halloween in my own way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just it turned into something that I really loved doing review shows about. You know, all these films from, when I grew up and things that I remember really loving when Halloween rolled around. And I was just like, yeah, I did the Christmas one the first year just because it was Christmas, and I figured why not. And I remembered a bunch of specials from when I was growing up that some I liked, some I was less fond of, but I wanted to do it then. But the next year I didn't bother because I was kind of burned out after Creepy Ween, and I had other things I wanted to review. Mm-hmm. This year I may still do I may review some Christmas related stuff, but at the same time, Creepy Ween is what I'm really looking forward to. And This year I'm really hoping to kind of push things forward and see, what more can I do with this. And so I asked Decker about it, and he seemed a little reluctant at first. He didn't mind the idea. In fact, he was all for it. It was more just the task was very daunting, which I admit, but I think I annoyed him into finally caving, and he seems on board with it now.
Oh, good, because I need more.
So I hope you tune in come October.
Oh, I will for sure. And Decker and Creepy, you guys just are hilarious together.
A lot of people have said that. He said that people have told us we have great comedic timing with each other.
Yeah, there's a chemistry there.
There was something. Oh, sorry, go on.
No, there's definitely chemistry there, and everybody can see that.
No, it was like, we became friends on Manic first, not just, friending each other, but we actually talked on Manic first. And I brought up, he was doing Summer of the Planet of the Apes, and I brought up this god-awful softcore lesbian porn film called Playmate of the Apes. And it was something that I just remember I was like, after I watched it, I felt like I had wasted an hour and a half of my life. And so I told him about it, and I was like, this would be a great thing to round out your Summer of the Planet of the Apes with. And hey, you know what? If you want to, we could do a crossover. And he brought up doing a face-to-face crossover in person, and I was like, I don't think we can afford that. I knew I couldn't, and but he became determined, and I just honestly I was like, well, if he's bound and determined to do this, I'm not going to tell him no. So he came down, and we just sort of clicked. Yeah. I don't really have another way of putting it other than just that. The minute we were face to face and talking to one another, it was like I had known this man most of my life, if not all of it. And it was a wonderful feeling to have. Mm-hmm. And even when the camera wasn't rolling, whether the camera was rolling or not, in fact, it was more so when the camera wasn't rolling. Mm-hmm. We were just laughing and joking and just clowning around, and I felt like 10 years of my life was gone in a good way. I felt like, 10 years of the crap I had been through was just not in my life anymore. And it was just hilarious fun.
Nice. Yeah. And you guys are still working together, and that's funny.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I wish we could do more. It's just, my schedule is so packed right now. I can't really afford to do crossovers like once a month or anything like that with him, but at the same time, if we did do stuff like that, people would probably get bored with it. But I am looking forward to working with him in a couple of months.
Nice. Yeah. Which I actually want to ask you about the Midnight Wankers. I'm seeing less and less of these being uploaded lately. What's going on? They're too funny.
It's not so much. It's more just. It was summertime. I didn't really have a theme for the summer, but there were a couple of shows that I kind of wanted to do that I had on the back burner for a long time, and I was like, I really want to do a couple of these, but unfortunately that meant something had to go, and I was like, I really don't want to put off the Scooby-Doo retrospective because one, that seems to be a hit with people.
Yeah, it is.
And two, that just means I'll be doing it for even longer. And I was like, well, what else can go? And the same problem with the X-Men reviews. The reviews I've done on the multi-parters of the X-Men animated series from the 90s, that has been, that seems to be something that people enjoy. But also, at the same time, so I was like, well, what can go? And I was like, well, I can afford to put off Midnight Wank Theater for a little while. It's not going away permanently. It's not even. I don't even intend for it to go back to its once a month formula. It's just the following months are going to be kind of busy, so I won't be doing as many of them. But I'm definitely, it's definitely not fading away. It's that, I don't see that happening.
Okay.
Especially considering that was the breakout hit for me.
Yeah, it's, I was watching that one night, and I didn't know what I was getting myself into because I had turned on the stereo. I have everything hooked up to a stereo, and I was like, all right, well, I'll just click this one video. I want to see all your videos. And sitting there, and I get the wife downstairs. She comes upstairs. What are you watching? Nothing. It brought me back to my teenagehood. Nothing.
Oh man!
Try explaining that one. So eventually I did tell her about you. I was like admitting to like adultery almost. I ended up telling her about your show and recently telling her about how I want to interview you. And I told her about, I hope you don't mind. Like I told her about you being bisexual, and I said where he lives, it's got to be tough, and I really want to talk about that and everything like that. And she's like, no, that's got to be really tough on him, and so she really wants to listen to this one when it's all done.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it'll be interesting to have a friend who's married and the wife isn't, watching my every move, but wanting to see if I'm trying to get into your pants.
Oh, I do want to elaborate. I want to correct that. I'm sorry, I'm not married. We have been together for 10 and a half years, or just over 10 years, so there's no marriage yet. I actually had to tell James that earlier.
Oh, that's okay.
I say the wife. It's been so long.
Yeah, I heard wife, and I just, my brain made a jump.
Yeah. Married. But all right, so where can we go? Yeah, where can I go with this here? We talked about you and Decker. Is there anything you wanted to talk about?
Well, you mentioned, you said that your significant other or whatever was interested in hearing about me being bi. We can talk about that right now if you'd like. Yeah,
like one of the things, because she said that's got to be tough, and because where I come from, I like my boss at work. She's lesbian, and we are like almost best friends, when it comes to, for like a work environment. I've never worked with somebody I got along with so well. And so we talk about that all the time, and she recently had, like, I don't know if I should talk about this, but she recently had come out and to her parents. She's younger, she's in her early 20s. And so for me, it was just like, it must be difficult, right? It's got to be tough.
It is. I can remember, it's like I said, my family is Southern Baptist, and I think really to give everyone listening a better grasp of what living in the South is like, I have to go back a little bit, if you don't mind. Like, this is always something that for anyone who does not live here, it can be very hard to grasp. And it's not insulting to anybody. It's just, I understand that this is just such an outrageous thought. But living in the Deep South, especially where I live, is a bit like there is this bizarre, almost medieval castle structure. Like, you have these incredibly old families that have been here for as long as the South has been states, and they just go back so far, and they wield this insane amount of power behind the scenes. That they're not the richest. That they're just, it's because they've been around for so long. These names have such gravity attached to them, almost like Count Von Count and his crack boom sort of thing. You hear these last names, and ominous music almost seems to carry over from the background. And the South is very, very deeply steeped in tradition, and these are people who loathe anything new or anything to change. So when a lot of Southerners sort of see the outside world the way the Amish do, as we're allowed to have electricity, but they see the world in general as the devil's playground. They see it as this place that is doomed to failure. And they hear about things like gay marriage, gay rights, and they clam up. They refuse. I remember being dragged to church on Sundays twice a day, and there would be guest speakers or the regular minister, and there would be these long drawn out rants about homosexuality and how wrong it is. And I mean, these guys would go on for a half hour or more. They can make it seem a lot longer, trust me. I think that's something you are actually taught how to do in ministry school, how to make a half hour seem like 3 hours. And you just grow up hearing about it, and it becomes this fact of your life that you are never allowed to be who you are. And I can remember from a very young age, knowing I had an attraction to guys. I was in such a difficult position that there was absolutely nothing I could do about this. It wasn't that I found women unattractive. It was just, well, the reason I didn't pursue girls is because I was the odd guy, and I was smart enough to recognize that if I asked any of the girls out, I would probably be shamed in front of the entire school, just for shits and giggles. But I could look at a girl and I could think, yes, she's hot. I couldn't see any reason to pursue this because of pragmatic reasons at the time. And I knew I was attracted to guys. Bear in mind, this was during the 90s. This is when the concept of being gay was just starting to show up in mainstream media. You were just starting to see things like this. Bisexuality was a long way away. It was just not, the only time you really heard about anyone being bisexual was in the movie Wild Things. Yeah, and that's not really a good example to follow, I don't think. But this was not a time when you had websites, like I think I'm gay, what do I do about it? Or where you had counseling, for young kids who were struggling with their sexuality, and you still don't have those things here in the South. But now it's taboo. Before, it was unthinkable. So I didn't. As odd as this is going to sound, I didn't feel gay. I mean, I knew I wasn't totally turned off by women or anything like that. I knew I had an attraction to men, to guys, and I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what to do about that. Yeah. And I knew I couldn't go to anyone about it. And I knew if I did, it would certainly not end well. And so the only thing I really knew how to do was just clam up about it. And I hated doing that because I was smart enough to figure out that this was a bad idea. This was not the thing to do. But the options that I had weren't really options at all. And it's funny enough, there were plenty of people who called me gay when I was in high school. There are a lot of stereotypes that are associated with homosexuality. One of which, believe it or not, is being very smart. Is specifically being smart but
and
not being athletic. Yeah, being the quiet kid, or being the kid who doesn't like football or doesn't play any sports, but who talks like he's really smart and really sharp. You get branded for being the gay kid. Whether you have any sort of attraction to guys at all, you get branded with this. Believe it or not, it's still something that persists around to this day. And that was something that followed me around for a long time, and that certainly didn't hurt, and that didn't help. And this is something that actually followed me well into my adulthood. Because I think I've mentioned this on my storyteller videos. I worked at Walmart for several years, and that was actually where the moniker of that long-haired creepy guy came from. I believe I was walking down, I was coming back from lunch, I want to say, and I happened to walk past a couple of ladies who were in the fabric clothing aisle, and I overheard one of them say something to the effect of, "There goes that long-haired creepy guy."
Yeah.
And when I was trying to think of a name for myself, I was like, "Hey, I can use that one." It was more polite than any of the other things they were calling me while I was working there, so I figured to go with that one.
Yeah.
And but no, I mean, even now, it's very much not, where I live is very much not a gay friendly or just LGBT friendly period place to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's I still get looks from people. I walk down the street, or like I walk into a store or something like that, and I'll feel like 6 different pairs of eyes staring at me, and like, I just keep going. It's gotten to the point where I just, I'd love to live somewhere else someday, but for now, this is where I am.
Yeah.
And I've come to terms with that. I don't necessarily like it per se, but I've come to terms with it, and I can deal with it. Because most of the people here know better than to really hassle me. If they hassle me at all, they do it in the most indirect way that they can.
Yeah, yeah. Which is I guess better than nothing. What keeps you from leaving? Why can't you find somewhere else?
Well, one reason is money. I'm a struggling author. Yeah, they can Hollywood can make all the movies about how awesome that is they want, but it pretty much sucks.
Yeah.
I live with my godmother.
Mm-hmm.
She had moved in with her mom because her mother had Alzheimer's, and her mother eventually passed away, and she bought out her 2 sisters to have the house that her mother had. And she doesn't like living here all by herself. And, she's gone during the day. So I stay here, watch over the place. I'm the house cook, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's just, she was really awesome. I needed a quiet place where I could sit and I could, fine tune my writing and so forth. And, while I was unemployed, I worked as a cook when I first moved in with her, so I could, help out. But I got laid off from my job, and because the restaurant I was working in closed down, there was no chance of me going back.
Yeah.
And the owner had never liked me that much anyway. So I spent like a year or so just sitting at my computer daily, writing something, just constantly, and. I can't imagine it was an easy thing to do, but she put me up. Mm-hmm. She let me stay. And I haven't forgotten that. And moving now, while I could, I think it just wouldn't feel right. It wouldn't feel, she has been the most wonderful person to me, and leaving her in the lurch like this would be something I would hate myself for.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't bring myself to do that. And I don't, even if it means that I'm here for right now, in this area that I don't particularly, it may not be the safest place for me. It's not the nicest place, certainly, but it's where I'm needed for now.
Yeah. And it's always nice to at least have a home too.
Right. It may not be in the nicest place for me, but it's home.
Yeah.
Because of who I'm with.
Yeah.
And I can live with that.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, we all have to kind of live with struggles, but it sounds like you do have it tough just having to deal with your lifestyle as it is, and then in that kind of environment.
We've had people leave trash on our front lawn before, not on a consistent basis. It's like we have the laziest vandals I have ever met. I have gone outside to bring garbage cans in, and someone left a bag of garbage, not a full garbage bag. I mean, like a Walmart bag, tied shut, full of trash, and they left it on the edge of our yard. And I'm like, I can't decide whether I should be relieved because this doesn't leave me with that much of a mess to clean up, or whether I should be offended because someone is too lazy to vandalize our property properly.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm still on the fence about that. As relieved as I was that it wasn't worse, I'm still on the fence about that.
Yeah, yeah. They might be assholes, but at least they're trying to keep the garbage maintained in a bag. Yeah. That's the southern smarts that I hear so much about, apparently.
Yeah, it's the southern courtesy.
Yeah,
we'll do horrible things to you, but in a nice way.
Yeah. Faggot. You know what I mean? Wait a minute. We have a saying
Actually,
here, too.
technically, I am only half faggot.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
Thank you very much.
I apologize, sir. We have a saying here, too. It's I think it's the further east you go in Canada, the dumber you get. It's the further south you go in the States, it's the dumber you get. You know, I don't find that's true, because I'm speaking to you. You are smarter than most people I know here already in southern Canada. And you're very polite.
I've had people tell me that they don't believe I'm from the South at
No,
all.
Yeah, and I guess you definitely meet people of different. I don't know. I guess the way I'm looking at it is just upbringing. And it really depends on it. It's not all about upbringing. It's all about how you decide you want to go with your life. And you seem like you've definitely taken the right path, because you sound like a really decent person, and I like that. I like that about you.
Thank you.
Is there actually, you know what? Can we take a quick break? I want to continue this. Okay,
yes,
we'll be
certainly.
right back, guys. And we're back. Okay, so I am joined here by Creepy, as you already know. Let's get right back to it. Can I call you Creepy, or would you rather?
Yeah, sure, that's fine. Most people prefer to short it to Creepy or the Creepy one, but Creepy is fine.
Yeah, it's the same as calling Big Black Hat Man. It's hard. I just call him Mark now. Even when I send him a message, I feel guilty if I don't. But yeah. So who else on the site are you into right now? Who are you watching?
Who do I watch? I watch Decker. I occasionally catch an episode of Paradise and Fairies. Let's see. I like reading Patricia Miranda's blogs.
Yeah.
So it's just, if it depends. If something catches my eye, it's like with any site that has reviewers. If something catches my eye, I'll tune into it.
Yeah, I'm the same way too. Like when I first joined, I was pretty much stuck on just you and Decker. And then I was like, okay, well, I need to branch out a little bit, because it seems like there's a lot of fascinating people, on the site. And then I ended up watching a lot of the Gurning Chimp. I really like him, actually. He's a good character. And then there's just so many different, like I didn't even notice the blog section until about a month or so ago. And then ended up catching that. I was like, I didn't even know we had a blog section, because it was always right to the videos. But there's so many good things on there. Yeah, and Miranda, same thing. I subscribed to her YouTube channel before I even had her on the show here. But yeah, she's good to listen to. I like that. How did you guys end up meeting?
Well, we had back when manic-expression did its first podcast play, she asked me if I would edit her play as well as James, and I did. And we spoke a few times over Manic, and I think it was several months ago. James gave me her phone number. He had talked with her over the phone several times, and she had mentioned wanting to talk to me specifically over the phone. And so he gave me her number, and I called her, and we just, we became friends since then. We talk to each other from time to time. Like I said, I love the girl. She's just so much of a sweetheart.
Yeah. I found that too. Very very easy to listen to. She has a nice voice.
Yeah.
So have you done any other interviews on the site before, or any other channels?
Let's see. I have been interviewed by Les. He featured me as the great. I was the subject of his second Great Bloggers Tribute on Manic-Expression. I've been interviewed on by other authors or people who interview any not on Manic Expression, but on other websites. I've been interviewed before, but it was always through email. This is my first ever, audio interview, live interview, for lack of a better way of putting it. And I got to say, it's awesome.
I'm glad, because I actually, that's one of the reasons I actually decided to start doing this, is because I feel like there's a lot of people on here, and that you watch their videos or you read their blogs, and you get a feel for the kind of person they are, but you never really get as much as you want. You know what I mean? It's like growing up and you're reading your favorite authors' books. Like when I was a kid, it was a lot of like Goosebumps, the usual stuff. But you never knew R.L. Stein, and then you finally get to see an interview. So I found for the site, I mean, you're very popular on Manic Expression, and people like what you do, and I'm one of them. And to be able to actually get to know you a little bit better, it kind of fills a void in a sense. I need to know, you know what I mean? It's like if I don't get to know you.
I hear people say I'm popular, and I guess I just don't see myself as such, because I've never been popular in the likable sense. I've been well known, but more in infamy, in the local area, just by being here. But I've never, I hear people tell me, how awesome I am, and I guess I just don't see it. I look at what I do, and I'm just like, I'm over opinionated, so I share that, by putting up videos. But one of the things Decker loves to do is if he has a spike in subscribers on YouTube, he will either he'll text message or in some capacity inform me of it. He'll I hit I think when he got 1100, my bad, he got 1100 subscribers. I got a text message about that from him, and I was like, yeah, great. Thanks. I definitely see Decker as more popular than me, because he's actually, it's like I said, he has way more subscribers. He gets way more views. He gets way more consistent. His views are much more consistent. And I just I'll have one or two videos I have one video on YouTube that has over 100,000 hits, and then a lot of others I'll be lucky if I hit 100.
Yeah. And what was the video that hit the higher numbers?
Night Eyes 3.
Yeah. No,
my bad. Night Eyes 2.
Okay.
And no, I have no idea why that happened.
Yeah.
I have wondered time and again, what did I do in this video that was so popular? What was it about this one video that made people come back? And I don't know.
Yeah. It is weird, the market, right?
Yeah.
Like what people are looking for, and like most of the time, as I mentioned before on the show, it's you'll get those viral videos that are just ridiculous, and you don't understand why they reach the status that they do on YouTube, and it's dumbed down humor, and you want something genuine out there, something real, and I think that's why people do like you. At least I'm looking at it from the perspective of Manic. People like that, and they look at you as being like, this guy's just being himself, and a lot of people like that.
Yeah, I've hit a small string of controversy, because I don't know if you've noticed this, but in most recent videos, Chibi Thulu talks now. Yeah, and that's the funny thing about that is that was always how it was supposed to go. Chibi Thulu was always going to be a character who had a voice.
Yeah.
The problem was I could never get the voice right myself. I could never do the voice in a way that I felt sounded right. Yeah. So I dropped the idea. But he stayed, he's sitting in my lap, and he stayed there.
Yeah.
But I found someone who was willing to do the voice for me, and and now I'm doing that. But when I still give my reviews, I'm still trying to do that, still be genuine. It's just Chibi Thulu is in there more for added humor, more for someone else to throw in snarky commentary every every few minutes. But it's one of the things that Kurt, who is my online boyfriend, and he's the one who does the voice for Chibi Thulu. the thing he and I talked about is he didn't want Chibi Thulu to take over the show. He wanted the show to be about me. You know, he said that, you know, and I was like, you know, but I like the idea that you're a part of it. And he's like, I don't mind being a part of it, but this is still about you.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'd rather just be, you know, the side character that's, you know, that's throwing in occasional stuff for added humor.
It's fun.
But I do like how, you know, at the end of the review, I like the idea of him being able to give a second opinion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I really like something. You'll see that in the upcoming review. Like, I really like something, but you know, he doesn't like it so much. So I like the idea that the reviews can end with it being like, I really like this, he didn't, but you can get a second, but you can decide whether you can decide for yourself. But it's never, I don't see it as a bad thing that there's someone else on the show that can give an opinion other than mine.
Yeah, that's good. Oh, so you got to tell me more about this guy. All right, you don't have to give me any details on like him as you know, as a person, but how'd you guys meet?
Same way you found out about me. He a guy named Paul. He's called the Gay Comic Geek. He's on YouTube. Long story short, Paul ended up in an eBay scam. He got conned out of someone conned him out of money that for merchandise that he had sold them, and he was in a really bad place. He had already it was really just, I think, one of those things where this was more like just kicking him while he was down. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to cheer him up, and I had a little cash, so I sent him a couple of things, you know, via Amazon that I knew he would really like, and he said thank you. He was generally grateful. So he did a thank you video, and he encouraged people to subscribe to me and check out my reviews and so forth. And Kurt was one of them. Kurt and I, last year, you know, we spoke occasionally. You know, we did, you know, we talked back and forth. And as we got to know each other, you know, towards the end of 2012, we really got close. We really started talking to each other a lot more. And there was this point where we just kind of clicked. Mm-hmm. And we sort of, you know, as we started dating, you know, he became my boyfriend. And it's been one of the best things that ever happened to me.
Nice.
You know, it's just, you know, I know there's still a lot of derisiveness about, you know, having a relationship online, but there is, I spend much of my day is spent online. So coming to my computer and knowing that there's going to be at some point someone signing in on Skype who's just, you know, waiting to talk to me, that's,
yeah,
it's a feeling I can't really describe in words.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean, and I'm sure a lot of the people listening they can relate in one way or another, whether or not they've actually had the opportunity to meet somebody online, or whether it be a bar. You're waiting for that phone call or that text message or like you said, Skype, and it just gives you this feeling in your stomach, like you're on edge all day waiting for it.
Yes.
And then you get to talk, and it's just like everything just feels great. You just relax. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's great. Wait, but does Decker know about this guy?
I've mentioned him, yes.
Don't want any jealousy issues there or anything like that.
Oh man, it is so funny that you said that, because like, okay, I have to tell this story. I have to.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of the people who you know, who have commented on Decker's you know, that we have a lot of great chemistry together. You know, we're very funny together and so forth.
Yeah.
They have also commented on the homoerotic aspect of it. There are people who have requested that Decker and I kiss on camera. Okay? And not only that, okay, you're going to laugh when you hear this. Kurt had seen my the first half of the crossover that Decker and I did, the one on the couch.
Not the shower one.
Yeah, the Return to the Return to the Planet of the Apes is the animated show.
Yeah,
the one where I kidnapped him. He had seen that one, but he had never seen the second half to it. So I linked him to it. I sent him the link to Decker's channel and where the video could be found. He was watching the video, and we were on Skype. We were vid chatting, and he's going through saying all of giving me feedback on it at some point. And one of the things he kept commenting on is how close Decker and I were sitting together. And like the like just he was making like these little innuendo jokes.
Yeah.
Well, near the end of the video, he dropped that. At the point where Decker and I get up off the couch and we're standing face to face, Kurt is sitting in front of his camera and shouting, "Kiss! Kiss! Kiss!"
Oh no!
And I just bust out laughing. I am like, there's another one jumped on the bandwagon. I have a feeling.
I was thinking the same thing.
That Kurt being on it is going to be even worse. Kurt is not going to be quiet about this. Anytime Decker and I do a crossover from now on, he's going to wonder how much longer before we start to make out.
Has he been at all interested in doing a video with you?
Kurt?
Yeah.
For right now, Kurt he prefers to be the voice of Chibi Thulu. He's not totally opposed to being on camera as himself, but he's more camera shy.
Yeah.
Not to the point to where like he abhors the idea, but he's between the two, he'd rather be the voice rather than be present.
Yeah.
But then that's just what he's comfortable with, and hey, even still it works.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, maybe one day we'll see the three of you. That would be interesting. I'd like to see that. It's like a soap opera to me now.
You do realize what's going on now. You do realize that Kurt is going to hear this. He's going to want this to happen. And the minute that Decker, him, and I are sitting on the couch together, he will start shouting, "Kiss!"
Oh man, I wish I lived just a little bit closer to you guys. I'd be filming this for you.
Okay, are you a radio show host, or are you trying to break into porn directing now?
A little bit of both. I want to cross that line that's never been crossed before.
But I should keep that in mind. I would not mind owning my own porn studio.
No, that's money right there.
Yeah.
I mentioned this before. I said that I will be willing to get a manic-expression tattoo on my left arm, because I have one on my right arm already, but I'd like to get a tattoo on my left arm. But my concern is, what happens if James is fed up, he decides to give up on the site, and next thing you know, when you type in manic expression, it redirects you to some kind of Asian porn, and now I'm walking around with manic expression tattoo on my arm, and that's where it goes. So I have to be weary on that. I'm not sure yet. But if we spike and we hit, say, 600 members, I'm aboard. I'll do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But no, this is not the first time by far that I've had this conversation with someone about about porn. Not in a semi-serious tone too. It's like we need to. I've noticed there is a sufficient lack of geek porn.
There is none.
There is. It's like you'll see porn parodies of things like the Justice League porn parody, or the Batman porn parody. And, Batman's been parodied on both sides of the fence. There's a straight Batman porn and a gay Batman porn. There's been a lot of that, actually.
Yeah, and not even recently. Like it goes back a long ways now. Yeah.
But it's like and this admittedly appeals to geeks. At the same time, it seems like there's not a lot of considering how big geek culture is, you'd think that there would be more porn catered to geeks.
You know what it is? I know exactly why.
What's that?
See, this is good. See, now this is the first time ever doing a Sabotage Show podcast. I've actually leaned back in my chair and put my feet up. This is good. I'm comfortable. I'll tell you right now why there is not a lot of geek porn.
Why is that?
Because geeks have the tendency to not get laid, and how can you make a porn about a geek virgin? Because most of it's going to be virgin porn, if anything.
I don't know. I've known a lot of geeks who are very sexually active.
And not to say that they're not. I guess I said that the wrong way. I should state it that it is commonly known, if not a misconception.
I had the idea. I had the idea that that's what you were leaning towards. The stereotype is that geeks don't get laid.
Exactly. So that would be breaking all kinds of rules that are out there. I mean, like the idea of, I hate to bring up, the angry video game nerd, but the idea of him getting laid as the nerd, not as James Rolfe, it's weird, right?
I mean, it's not that it's not awesome. It's just at the same time that stereotype is so pervasive. It's permeated so much of culture that, when you think about it happening, it's stuck somewhere between weird and you want to hear hallelujah music playing.
Yeah.
It's like,
Exactly. And I mean, like, how many geeks do you know with big cocks? I mean, porn's based off of big cocks. I mean, you can't watch geek porn and be like, oh, well, that just doesn't work.
I don't know. I haven't seen evidence to back this up, but according to Decker, he's hung pretty well.
Well, I'll have to ask him that when I do the podcast. I'll bring that. Actually, I got to be careful with Decker because, like I said, I've never talked to him before up until today. And I said a couple things to him on the Facebook page, and that was it. But I will bring it up, and I guess being a geek myself, because I don't see other geeks as being geeks. I see them as being creative. You know what I mean? Like, I don't play football. I don't play sports. I did a video with Wallace, and I held hockey skates in my hand, and with the jersey on and everything like that. But to be honest with you, I skated twice in the last 5 years, and I fell on my ass both times when I went out. But it's a Canadian thing. Like, the stereotype was to be a hockey player. But I guess I'm a geek. I'm hung like a wild ox. I don't understand. I can't do porn though.
It's like, first girl I was ever with told me that wasn't going to fit.
Well, it's because you were trying to stick it in her ear. You can't do that.
No, I knew where to put it.
How old were you, by the way, when you first?
My first, I was. It was a few months before my 21st birthday. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was what some people call a late bloomer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know how accurate that is in retrospect. Every guy that I knew in high school was not a virgin, or by their own testament. I don't know now to the veracity of that. I'm pretty sure the vast bulk of them were lying out of their asses.
Yeah. It was just a matter of keeping that reputation.
Right.
Yeah,
but at the same time, I was, I just. You hear so much bullshit. So after a certain point, I was just like, whatever. Yeah. But no, I was. She was Japanese, and her name was Akiko. She was my first love.
Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, when it finally happened, it was amazing. I did not just in the sense that I'm a man. I'm quotation marks. I'm a man now. It's funny enough. Afterward, it took a few days for it to really sink in. I was that was another thing. Like everyone called me like I was quote unquote the virgin, whether I was actually a virgin or not. I said this in a storyteller video. It depends on do you classify virgin as someone who is sexually inexperienced or naive, or someone who has intercourse? Because there is some debate over that. Not in the area where I live, but regardless, the first time I had intercourse was with her, and just at the time I was on cloud nine. I was in a really bad place at the time, but I was also, being with her was just being with her, was, it changed a lot of things for me. Yeah. For the better. Definitely for the better.
Do you mind me asking what happened?
I don't mind.
You don't have to talk about it.
No, it's just that this story might come across as a tad unrealistic.
Okay. No, it's this actually might be a good reason to have the disclaimer at the beginning of the show for once.
I found out she had some family ties that were. I mentioned she was Japanese, didn't I?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I found out she had a few family ties of a unsettling sort. I found this out. This revelation occurred after I went to Japan to visit her.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'd rather not go into all of the details because I do know this is going live, but it was a very enjoyable week. It was also a very eventful week that I spent there.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, we called it quits, more or less amicably. I'll see her again someday.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, this woman was the first woman I ever loved. And you don't get over that. You don't ever forget or throw away that.
No.
And there was way too much good for it to have all been bad.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, if I see her again someday, it'll be a good thing.
Yeah.
And I actually look forward to that.
Yeah. Do you find yourself ever comparing, like, because that being your first love, do you ever find that you're comparing a lot of the relationships you're in now to that?
At first I did. Now, not so much.
Yeah.
I just, every relationship is going to be different in some way, in some aspect. You can't, no matter how much you want to, you can't hold on to that first experience, whether it was good or bad for you, and try and fit every relationship you have together with it. It's just, after a certain point, you think different isn't always going to be bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not going to be the same.
Yeah.
But I'd rather not have a relationship that repeated all of that, because that was good.
Yeah.
That was good for me, and that helped me get out of a very dark place that I was in.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if she ever hears this, I owe you one girl.
Yeah.
And she'll always be my girl.
Yeah. Aw. I hope I don't know if anybody's actually going to be listening to this, but I sure will be. Yeah, like, it's never easy, right? I mean, for me, when I was, high school and all those.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were so unimportant to me. It wasn't until I hit about 20 that anything really mattered to me, emotionally, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
I was so focused on everything else in my life at the time that it was just, it was partying and all that stuff. And it wasn't until I hit about 20 that I got into a real serious relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And, now being 10 years later, I'm still with that same person.
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously something worked out, right?
Good for you.
Or I'm drugged and I don't know. Or I drugged her. We'll see.
I hope not. There are enough Lifetime original movie plots out there as it is.
Aw. I didn't know I was supposed to roofie her. I roofied myself. I didn't know better then. Yeah. So do you find that with this new relationship you're in, do you feel like it's strong, or has it grown since you started? How long has it been?
It started at the beginning of this year, and yes, it has. It's been, I mean, the growth has been wonderful. For so long, I associated growth as a bad thing, but a necessary thing. Mm-hmm. It seemed like so much growth in my life involved unpleasant aspects. Things that you either don't want to do or wish you weren't even around. Or just growth always involved unpleasantness. And this has been a good thing. This has been an amazingly wonderful. This has been like espresso and sugar and chocolate poured into this blender and pureed into some awesome ecstatic, drug-induced stupor of ecstasy that, boy, that really got away from me. It's just, I just want to explode. There are just days when I just want to explode and spray everything with just how good I feel. Okay, this sentence ended up in a different place than it started.
I expect nothing less from this conversation. But basically what you're saying is that you want to express how you feel every day, how positive you feel, and that's such a good sign, because if you're holding negative feelings back, it's the opposite. You just want to shelter yourself, but you sound like you're very open about it right now, and I don't know how often you've talked about this, but it's a good thing. I like the fact that you're happy, because you sound happy.
Thank you.
And I want to talk to this guy, by the way, one day.
Okay. Maybe you could interview him for a change.
Yeah. Has he done any other work on the internet?
He does have a blog. He doesn't. It's not a weekly thing, but he does something called Triple Nerd Score. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can find it on manic-expression.
Okay.
Yeah. But no. I mean, it's my guy.
Nice. Good for you.
Thanks.
And it's good, and you also get to work together a little bit, like you were saying, with him doing the voice.
Mm-hmm. It's a wonderful thing. I've been actually, how this all got started is he mentioned to me that he had wanted to be a writer for as long as he could remember, and we got to talking about it, and I was like, okay, this was before we officially became a couple, but I told him I don't do this for people generally. It's not something I make a habit of, but I offered to become his writing coach. I basically said, he explained to me what he had trouble with, and so I was like, okay, here's what we're going to do. I will give you a scenario, and you will compose a story using that. And we'll just go from there, and I will make sure I will keep you on track. And, it hasn't been a smooth road, but it's been a fun one.
Yeah.
This is another thing, where a rocky road has always, more times than not for me seemed like it was a bad road. This hasn't been a smooth road, but it hasn't been a bad road at all. It's been fun. It's been fun. It's been entertaining. It's been, we've both laughed. And it's helped me a lot with my own stuff too, with my own writing.
Yeah.
It's been a boon to me as well. So I can't say I haven't been getting more than enough in return. And so yeah, if I may, Kurt, if you hear this, and I have a feeling I'll annoy you into listening at some point, I love you.
Wow. How do you follow that?
We could go back to talking about Decker's penis if you like.
Hold that thought for a second. That might be the very first time love has ever been brought up on my show before.
Or we could just talk about how we'll just debate the issue of whether geeks are well endowed in general.
Yeah, they probably are, more so than the football players. We're not compensating for anything.
No, we're just, I don't think this is something that gets a lot of media attention.
Yeah, that's good. I want to start that. That's going to be my main focus from here on out.
The only time I remember this ever coming up in any sort of mainstream media was in the first Revenge of the Nerds film.
I was just going to say that too.
And it's like, it wasn't, the subject of big dicks in general wasn't brought up. It was just the fact that nerds were really, really good in the sack.
Yeah.
Which I honestly think we are. I honestly think nerds are better in bed than football players.
It's very possible. I wouldn't go as far as to say I've had mixed. I mean, I've been with the same person for a long time now, so I guess it's
Well, hey, she kept coming back.
Yeah, yeah. Although I do often see the mailman, the milkman, the plumber a lot. But the plumbing never really seems to have any problems around here. And I don't have any milk in the fridge. What's going on? I'm overthinking things.
Probably.
Yeah. So, what like we talked about your next project you're going to be working on here. But is there anything else you wanted to get off your chest?
Buy my books, please. Being a starving writer sucks.
Yep. I mentioned that. Yeah. I also mentioned that about James too, though.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I know about that. I'm like, I have James's book, and I'm like, you know, some of the stuff he wrote was just so amazing, and I'm like, I don't know if I've ever actually said this before to him specifically, but I read his book and I was like, I can't do this. You know, I feel humbled a lot of the times, you know, reading the stories he's written. And I just, you know, I read it and I'm like, it seems so unfair that, you know, he poured his heart out into this and nothing happened. Just absolutely nothing. And I'm like, you know, I hope, you know, Lord and Lady, I hope this man gets the credit he deserves someday.
I think he will. And I think you really will too, actually. I know you have a lot of your writing and everything, but I do think that there's something, I know it sounds stupid, but there's something about this website and the people that have come to it. There's something different than there has been in the past. It definitely feels like a family, friends. I think that there's a reason, and I think that the project is in the works. I'm not sure what project it is exactly that's going to make it happen, but I think that something big is going to happen.
I hope so.
For a bunch of well-deserving people too, like hardworking people.
Thank you.
Oh, and Decker as
I
well.
want to see you be a part of that too.
Oh, I would hope so. I mean, I'm not into this for anything more than just like this started off as a hobby for me, honestly, and it's really become just I really fucking love talking to people in general, and I find that I don't like to hear a lot about myself. I don't like to hear myself talk, but I love to hear other people's stories. So when I had the opportunity to talk to you, it was like, oh man, this is going to be so much fun. Oh.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know what happened. It's just the connection went.
Oh, no worries. I wonder if I can edit this out. Oh, well, we're still live.
I was thinking about that. I hope you can edit that out.
Yeah. Yeah. But I just want to say, yeah, no, I think that everything here is it's happening for a reason, I believe. You know, and I'm not really a religious man myself by any means, but I think that there's a lot of good people here, and they deserve the recognition they're gonna get.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, really, I didn't really have any other questions for the show, but is there anything else you wanted to say?
Actually, there is one thing. I just, you know, I didn't expect this, but I can't say I'm sorry. I love just being on manic-expression made me feel like I wasn't totally alone. And that's the thing, you know, I mean, I didn't want this to turn into, you know, a sob story about me or anything like that. You know, I have good things in my life here, you know, but it made me feel like the rest of the world wouldn't be the same way. You know, like when I finally leave, when I finally go out into the world, when I'm finally able to, it's going to be so different from the way that it was here. And that's not a feeling I always had, or not something I could totally believe was true at one point. And now being on manic-expression has changed all that. So I'd like to take the time to say to everyone out there, who are members of the site, who are active on the site, and just, people who have left comments, people, who are just the audience, that's not a lesser thing. I just wanted to say thanks.
I would like to thank them as well, actually. It's been an amazing experience so far, and I hope we can continue this.
Yes.
And I hope I can have you on the show again one time, another time, and we can talk about more if there's anything you want to talk about, because I find this to be amazing, and it's fun, and it's a learning experience for me.
Yeah, we could do topics if you'd like.
Sure.
Yeah, I'd love that. Actually, that would be awesome.
Cool. Nice. Okay, well, do you want to tell me what your, or I should say tell the fans, because you have a lot of fans out there, your YouTube channel, any other sites you'd like to get out there?
I'm on, my YouTube channel is Long-Haired Creepy Guy. There wasn't enough space. It's youtubes.com/longhaired creepy guy. There wasn't enough space for me to have that.
Yeah.
But I'm on YouTube. I'm on Twitter. Yeah, it's TLHCG, that long-haired creepy guy. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. On Facebook, I'm on as my author handle, JLO Fowlane. But I'm around. Stop in, say hi. I don't mind it if people message me or send me just to say hello. I think that's awesome. So if anyone wants to, you won't get any complaints from me.
I will be watching your moderators. I'll moderate you, I should say. But I will have you send me that information, those addresses you gave, and I will post them at the bottom of this podcast.
Okay.
For Manic Expression, and also for the Sabotage Show at webs.com.
Thank you.
And that way, you can get your views and your opinions heard too. And hey, thank you for your time. I really do appreciate this.
This was awesome. I hope we can do it again.
Great, thank you. Okay, thanks, listeners, and hopefully we'll get another show up and running here soon. And stay tuned. Thanks, guys. Bye.